Hey people, the time has finally come for me to conclude my superhero movie battle of 2012 video series. For those of you who don't know, throughout this year I've done reviews for the three major superhero movies that were released. If you haven't watched those yet, you can click the links and check them out. In this video, I'm going to compare the movies in a few different areas and declare my personal pick for the best superhero movie of 2012. Let's start off by looking at box office results. In third place, we have The Amazing Spider-Man with about $750 million. In second place, we have The Dark Knight Rises with close to $1,100 million. And in first place, we have The Avengers with about $1,500 million. So The Avengers is a clear winner here by a large margin, but I think we have to look at a few different factors when looking at these numbers. A lot of people like to point out the fact that The Avengers benefits from the increased price of 3D tickets, but if you look at the actual number of tickets sold, the 3D factor really wasn't that significant in this competition. The Avengers, according to Box Office Mojo, sold about 76 million tickets, while The Dark Knight Rises sold 57 million tickets. So the Avengers really did have more people go to see it. There's no real way of twisting that, but I do think there are some factors that are interesting to think about that might have influenced people going to see these movies other than the quality of the movies themselves. When you look at these franchise movies, I think you really have to look at the movies that came before and see how successful they were and how well received they were, because that probably has a significant effect on the initial hype for the movie. The Amazing Spider-Man, I believe, had an uphill battle because people really hated Spider-Man 3. It was poorly received and soured a lot of people's opinions on Spider-Man in general, so combine that with the fact that The Amazing Spider-Man just seemed to be this remake of the first Sam Raimi movie. It was telling the origin story, and a lot of people just kind of felt like, why are they doing this again so soon? It is kind of impressive, I think, that it made as much money as it did. The Dark Knight Rises benefited from coming after The Dark Knight, which was hugely successful and pretty much universally praised, so the association with that movie really helped to boost it up. There was also this hype of being the conclusion of this really great movie series, but I do think there were a couple of factors that did hurt it. The Joker was many people's favorite thing about The Dark Knight, so since he was absent from this movie, the excitement and anticipation for The Dark Knight Rises wasn't as high as it would have been in the hypothetical situation that Heath Ledger was still alive and reprising his role. And also, of course, the tragic shooting that happened at a showing of The Dark Knight Rises had an effect that really can't be measured. The Avengers was in the unique situation of being part of this new kind of crossover movie franchise. You've got the four individual franchises that were all pretty successful and well received. You combine their successes. Hypothetically, there could be people that love Iron Man but hated Hulk, Captain America, and Thor, and they still probably saw the Avengers. And the same goes for each of these franchises. Aside from pulling people who like different characters, the hype has been building for 4 years. It's not like people were just waiting around after Iron Man. There were 4 movies to keep people interested and build the anticipation. Marvel had all this hype built up, and they delivered a very enjoyable movie, which resulted in this massive success. Now for critical reception based on Rotten Tomatoes. In third place we have The Amazing Spider-Man with 73%. In second place we have The Dark Knight Rises with 87%. And in first place we have The Avengers with 92%. There's not much I want to say about this, but I do want to mention that I believe context really matters when you're looking at these movies. Like The Amazing Spider-Man, I believe, was hurt once again by its similarity to Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie, which came out 10 years ago and was really the first superhero origin movie that people had seen since Superman the movie back in 1978, and it kicked off this modern superhero era in which we've seen several of these origin stories that kind of followed that mold. So The Amazing Spider-Man didn't feel nearly as fresh or original as Sam Raimi's first movie did when it came out. Now, before I reveal my choice for the winner, I have a few awards that I'd like to give out. In the category of Best Action, the winner is The Avengers, and this was a very easy choice for me because the final battle alone just puts the movie in a league of its own. And it's not just because it's on a grand scale, and it is on a very grand scale, but there's so much great stuff going on within this battle, like cool moments, fun moments, comedic moments, combinations of all three, and in the end it just turned out to be one of the most enjoyable action scenes that I have watched in a very long time. In the category of Best Comedy, The Avengers is the easy winner once again. I was expecting this movie to be pretty funny, but it was even funnier than I expected, and Robert Downey Jr. isn't the only one making the audience laugh. Joss Whedon knows these characters very well, and he was able to write very witty and appropriate comedic moments for pretty much everyone throughout the entire movie. For Best Romance, I'd choose The Amazing Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone had pretty good on-screen chemistry, and the movie was able to get me interested in seeing where the relationship between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy goes. Andrew Garfield also wins my award for Best Casting Choice of the Year. While I didn't love The Amazing Spider-Man's take on Peter Parker, Andrew really brought to life the playful, joking Spider-Man that we never really got to see in the Sam Raimi trilogy. Michael Caine is my choice for Best Supporting Actor. I do feel that Alfred was pretty underused in this movie, but Michael Caine's performance was very effective in the scenes he was around for, and gives the movie some of its most emotional moments. For the year's Best Villain, I've got to give the award to Bane. I have a few issues with how he was used in the movie, but Tom Hardy was able to create a very memorable version of the character. Whether you loved Bane's voice or hated it, the fact that so many people remember it and do Bane impressions means that they were able to create something that turned out to be more iconic than either Loki or the Lizard. Now it's time to give out the big award. My choice for the best superhero movie of 2012 is The Avengers. When it comes down to it, I believe The Avengers really does the best job in the execution of what it's going for. Because the movie turned out so well, most people don't really understand what an accomplishment it is. This was a difficult movie to pull off. You've got a Norse god, a guy in a robot suit, and a big green monster all fighting a bunch of aliens. The Avengers could have been a terrible mess, but somehow it works. It's fun, but not mindless. I don't want to ramble on for too long. You can hear more of my thoughts on these movies by checking out my reviews, but I will say that I feel that the biggest problem with both The Amazing Spider-Man and The Dark Knight Rises is that they chose to tell the wrong stories. The Amazing Spider-Man is held back by two conflicting goals, telling the origin story and making a fresh new movie. They weren't able to tell the origin to its full potential due to the necessity of discarding some of the things that Sam Raimi's movie did very well only 10 years ago. They weren't able to make a movie that felt completely new because in choosing to retell the origin, they locked themselves into retracing some of the obligatory plot elements done by the earlier movie. As for The Dark Knight Rises, I really feel that the movie is not a fitting conclusion to Nolan's trilogy for various reasons that you can listen to by clicking this link. It really wasn't the movie I'd waited 4 years to see. However, I hope to be finished with my write-up for an alternative story to The Dark Knight Rises very soon, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I realize that this is just my opinion, so whether you agreed or disagreed, please comment and share your own opinion. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and tune in next time.